didn't record any of that. That makes me sad. Of me singing. I wish it were on there. Should we sing it again?
No.
Yes.
X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root Roman b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, that makes me feel better. Okay, I just wanted that on the video because I sang it twice and it wasn't on there. So this is how you would go about solving if you had standard form. So what we've learned so far, when you have standard form, you could solve by factoring, you could solve by square root, or you could solve by the quadratic formula. When you have vertex form, you solve by square root, or if you have standard form, you could change it to vertex form by completing the square and then solve by square root. So you have so many options, and you are either going to be told what to do or you can choose what to do. Some people prefer the quadratic formula. In my personal opinion, I think it takes a long time, but it's really going to be up to you. So for number 1, I'm going to rewrite this, set it equal to 0, and then I'm going to put in my a, b, and c values. So my a value is 1, b is 3, c is negative 2. My first suggestion when you're doing this is to go ahead and do all the stuff under the radical first. So I'm going to encourage you to do all the stuff under the radical first. So b squared minus 4ac. The reason why I tell you to do that is because when you do that first, it makes life a lot easier if you go ahead and simplify that. And so b squared is 9 minus 4 times 1 times negative 2. So what do you end up getting? 17. So you get 17. And so that is what goes under the square root of 17. Square root of 17, you can't simplify that any further, so I'm just going to leave that be. Now I'm going to fill in the rest. So negative b would be negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 17 over 2a. Now I can't do anything further to simplify this. The only part I see people mess up is simplifying the final answer. So my suggestion would be to leave it as much as you can. Don't try to start simplifying because that's where you get messed up. So I'll show you examples in which it's appropriate to simplify, but in this case 3 over 2 doesn't reduce anymore, and square root of 17 over 2 doesn't reduce anymore. So you leave your final answer just like this.
So you do want it in radical form, you don't want us to put in decimals?
No decimals. Never. That hurts. That makes my ears bleed hearing that. No decimals. Oh, I'm gonna cry. Okay. Yes. Okay, let's try number 2. So I have 25x squared. I'm going to move these guys over. So minus 30x plus 9 equals 0. I'm going to go ahead and do this stuff under the radical first. So b squared minus 4ac. And we're going to actually learn what that means here in a minute. So there's a reason why we're doing this first, and we'll figure that out on the back. I don't know what you end up getting for b squared. You get 0. That's awesome. I planned it. So you end up getting 0. Square root of 0 is just 0. So x is equal to negative b. So negative 30 becomes what? just a positive 30. So negative 30. Plus or minus the square root of 0 all over 2a. So to simplify that, you get 30. I don't need this because 0 and 50. And that reduces to 3 over 5. What do you notice about this? How many solutions do I have? Just one. I just have one solution. I'm going to write this to the side, and it's going to make sense here in a minute. Up here, I didn't write it. I had how many solutions? 2 solutions. Did I have any i's? No, so I'm going to call those real solutions. And let's try number 3. I need to manipulate this a little bit. So I'm going to write this as negative x squared plus 4x plus 5 equals 0. And then b squared minus 4ac is 16 minus 4 times negative 1 times 5. I think you get 36. What's the square root of 36? So x is equal to negative b plus or minus square root of 36 all over 2a. I'm running out of room. I'm just gonna erase this and come over here. Hopefully you have more room on your paper. So then x is equal to negative 4 plus or minus 6 over negative 2. Now, you have all integers, so I'm going to suggest that you solve this out. So if you actually solve this out, you would get negative 4 minus 6, so negative 10 over negative 2. Then if you did negative 4 plus 6 over negative 2, you would get 2 over negative 2. And so my 2 answers would be integers. This would reduce to 5, and this second one would reduce to negative 1. So x equals 5 and negative 1. Yes?
Does number 2 mean equal to 0?
On the homework? I don't have it in front of me, but probably.
Okay, it just has like the doesn't have equal to.
Yeah, to equal to 0. So and when you get 2 numbers, what is another way that you could have solved it, do you think? I could have factored it. If you want to, just for fun, we could factor that.
No, it's fine.
Okay. Just for fun, maybe.
I think we have different ideas.
Maybe when you go home tonight, you can just factor that little number 3. Okay, let's flip the page. Okay, I love this little chart. So, what we call the discriminant is the b squared minus 4ac. So that's why I tell y'all to do it first. So the stuff that's under the square root is called my discriminant. Now, if you get a positive answer, that means that you have 2 real solutions. So my graph is going to intersect the x-axis at 2 points, like this, like this. It's going to intersect the x-axis at 2 real numbers. Now it can have radicals, it can have square roots, things like that. That doesn't matter. But you don't have any imaginary numbers is what that means. Now, number 2 we saw that it equaled 0, and I only had one real solution. So what that means, when I'm looking at my graph, is my parabola is actually going to touch the x-axis, and then it's going to bounce right back off. So it's not going to intersect at 2 points, it's only going to intersect at 1 point. And then if you get a negative, so you're going to get a negative square root, that means you're going to have i's in your answer. And my picture, or my parabola, would be like the parabolas are in outer space. They never ever touch the x-axis. So they're like up here, or they're down here. But they never actually touch the x-axis. They're in outer space. So that's what I mean by two imaginary solutions. They don't touch the x-axis. So what I want us to do for the next ones, we're going to determine the discriminant first, which is what we've been doing. We're going to say what solutions they have, 2 imaginary, 2 real, or 1 real, and then we're actually going to solve. So let's look at number 7. I'm going to encourage you to do the discriminant to the left because you need a little bit more room. So the discriminant b squared minus 4ac is negative 8 squared minus 4 times 1 times 17. So someone tell me what you get.
Maybe not.
Let me see. 64 minus 4 times 17. You should get negative 4. So if you get a negative, that means you have what kind of solutions? 2 imaginary. So I'm going to put it into the formula. So x is equal to negative b. So a negative 8 becomes a positive 8. Plus or minus. When I take the square root of negative 4, what does that become? I root 4. And then how do I simplify that even further? 2i. So 8 plus or minus 2i over 2 times 1, so over 2. Now, what do all 3 of these numbers have in common? 2. So can I simplify this further? Yes. So I can divide 8 divided by 2. That becomes 4. And 2 divided by 2 reduces to just 1, so 4 plus or minus I. Now when you are reducing a fraction like this, the denominator applies to the first term and to the second term. So it's like, imagine you're rewriting this, and I don't expect you to rewrite it like this, but this is kind of the long way. It's like saying 8 over 2 plus or minus 2i over 2. So this denominator gets applied to the first term and to the second term. So when you're reducing, that is what is happening. That's the long way. Okay, try number 8. Tell me how many solutions, and then actually solve it out. We could have factored number 9 because we got 2 real numbers. X minus 5, x minus 3. Then just set them both equal to 0. But we did it by the quadratic formula. Isn't that cool, though, how they connect? Isn't math cool? I know. Yes. It's just cool to see how they all connect. Okay, questions about 7, 8, or 9? Okay, let's do number 10. That one's a little bit more difficult to to simplify, but I'm confident that you can do this. That's what I just said. We're going to do it.
We're doing right now.
Yeah.
Simplifying it to like fractions, like 2 fractions.
You don't have to do it in 2 fractions. You can leave it as 1, but I want you to simplify it. Yeah, I want you to simplify it as far as you can. And then you will see if yours matches mine. So once you get it to this point right here, imagine taking this 8 and putting it under this 6 and under this 6. And so the 6 over 8 reduces with the number that's in front of the I. So then you would simplify this. Negative 6 over 8 reduces to negative 3 over 4. So you have negative 3 plus or minus 3I root 3 all over 4. Because the 8 goes to this 6 and the 8 goes to this 6.